You can look at your dashboard. You can see that you don't monetize as well as you should.
It's the San Francisco TechCrunch Disrupt Conference, showcasing the latest digital products.
Yeah, a robot that drives its own car. Yeah.
And just when you're thinking, everyone looks so young, you catch up with a silver-haired fellow who knows just what to watch for.
And so instead of looking at a product, I tend to look at the people behind it and say, you know, are they going to be able to innovate and change when their original plan doesn't work?
Walter Isaacson has spent years studying what it takes to make it in the internet era. His biography of Steve Jobs was the top-selling book of 2011. This month, he's out with The Innovators, published by CBS's Simon & Schuster. Already nominated for a National Book Award, it's the story of how a group of visionaries, many of them unsung, created the computer and internet revolution.
What made them succeed? What traits did it take? And so I wanted to give real concrete storytelling meaning to what does it mean to be an innovator.
Case in point, Ev Williams, a college dropout who's a creator of both Blogger.com, the first program making it easy to blog, and Twitter. Today, with his net worth estimated at $3 billion, he says he wasn't sure that either project would take off.
You can look back and say, yes, I knew exactly that the world needed this, but it's really a process of discovery, I think. And it's like you're exploring and you're going by your gut.
Isaacson says the genius of people like Williams is that they see things in ways that the rest of us can't.
They take all the little things out of there, the building blocks that have already been created, and they do something creative and imaginative.
You might be surprised to learn the identity of one of the pioneers Isaacson credits with first imagining what a computer might do, a woman born in the early 19th century. Ada Countess of Lovelace lived from 1815 to 1852, died at age 36.
Same age as her father was when her father died. Her father was the Romantic poet, Lord Byron.
That's right. Lord Byron's daughter was a mathematician who was intrigued by the use of punch cards like these, which had recently been introduced to program automatic looms. She prophesied that similar devices could also be used for complex math problems and much more.
They could even compose music. They could make art. They could, of course, do calculations with numbers. And so by envisioning how those cards can be used on a computer, she says the computer can be general purpose. It doesn't just have to be for numbers.
But it wasn't until almost a century later, in the USA during World War II, that the first modern multi-purpose computers were built for defense purposes. As to who deserves credit?
It's a wonderful historical wrestling match of who invented the computer.
The contenders are on view at the Computer History Museum in Mountain View, California. There's this replica of a computer designed by John Vincent Atanasoff at Iowa State University in the early 1940s. It barely worked. So Isaacson says this one deserves top billing.
This is Eniac.
It's on loan from the Smithsonian. It was finished in 1945 for the U.S. War Department by a team at the University of Pennsylvania.
And it works for many, many years. They can reprogram it so it can do everything from atom bomb tests to missile trajectories.
But in later years, Atanasoff, the Iowa inventor, would claim the Penn team copied some of his technology. So there were lawsuits forever. Did anybody end up with a patent and the title of who invented the first computer?
No, first of all, we don't want to let just the courts make that decision. We historians get to make it. But secondly, the courts couldn't make that decision. Nobody really got a patent saying you own the rights to the computer.
Isaacson says it was big news on election night in 1952.
Good evening, everyone. This is Walter Cronkite speaking to you.
When CBS introduced a UNIVAC computer.
We hope, as the evening goes on, to get you a prediction from UNIVAC based on statistical principles of the result of this election as it happens.
and it actually works. But Cronkite's a little bit worried and sort of doesn't say anything for a while and says, well, we don't have a projection yet. But it just shows that a computer can be used for really practical things.
And did you ever wonder why we say our computer has a bug in it?
Grace Hopper and her team did the programming for Mark I at Harvard, one of the big early computers. And one night, it wasn't working very well. And they opened it up, and there was a moth in one of the switches. And so that's why we call it debugging.
You might not expect Walter Isaacson to be a tech junkie, considering that he and his wife Kathy live in the decidedly untechy Georgetown section of Washington, D.C. A former managing editor of Time, since 2003, Isaacson has been the CEO of the Aspen Institute, a policy study organization. He's also earned a reputation as an expert on genius, after writing bestsellers on the likes of Jobs, Albert Einstein, and Benjamin Franklin. It seems like the people in your current book are such a long distance from someone like Benjamin Franklin, for example. Are there parallels?
Oh, absolutely. I think if Benjamin Franklin came back today, he'd sort of fire up a website and he would love to sort of look at my iPhone and figure out how to make an app himself, because he was always inventive. You know, those traits of his I see in the innovators I write about today.
Though his past books have focused on individual achievement, Isaacson has come to realize that most history isn't made that way.
You know, the dirty little secret is that those of us who write biographies know that we distort history a little bit.
Really?
We try to make it seem like one guy, you know, sitting there in the garage, created everything. And I really wanted to remedy that with this book, to say it's not just the lone inventor, it's the collaboration and teamwork that makes for innovation.
It's also building on the work of others. Altair, the very first and very primitive personal computer, was made by a hobbyist named Ed Roberts in Albuquerque.
It doesn't have a monitor. It doesn't have a keyboard.
It appears on the cover of Popular Electronics magazine.
And the world is never the same. All sorts of young people say, I want to be involved.
And it would take young teams like Paul Allen and Bill Gates, who started Microsoft, and Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, who founded Apple, to actually make the personal computer a useful tool. In fact, Walter Isaacson says that in the end, the digital revolution is really a cavalcade of both dreamers and doers.
You know, vision without execution is just hallucination. You got to have teams of people who have great visionaries, but also people who can get things done. It's when you combine the imagination of humans with the processing power of machines, that's where the real innovation comes.